Hello from Hollywood. My name is Anthony Boyer.
And I'm Jess Canty.
And today on Take Fountain, we're going to talk about audition terminology. Thankfully, because of the great advice we've given, everyone watching this video has received a callback.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
What is a callback?
So it used to be, it's called a callback because they are literally calling you back to audition again. So either it's going to be with the same material or often with new material. And usually there will be feedback. Sometimes there won't be. Sometimes you'll just be coming back to do it again or to do some new material. So let's talk a little bit about the various types of callbacks, if we will.
Sure.
So again, self-tape callback. Usually they're going to send new material because obviously why would you? It was the same material. You just send the same tape.
Right.
So there's going to be some new material and you're going to self-tape with that.
Yep. Or there will be a specific redirection from either casting or the director about something in your first tape that they want to see modulated, changed, or sort of finessed.
Yeah. I think that's the part of the self-tape process that is much more difficult than the live, because obviously they can just give a redirect in the room. And now there's all this lead up to it and all these steps, but it still does happen from time to time. And that's a really great opportunity to show that you take direction through a self-tape.
Yeah, which actually we didn't really touch on this, but if you are given the opportunity to choose between a self-tape and a Zoom audition, we always recommend that you take the opportunity for that Zoom audition. It is the closest thing to being live in the room. You are going to get to meet and interact with casting, and you are going to be able to have that opportunity to have a redirect or show them an alternate version of the scene you prepared in a way that ensures that they're going to be present and watching it, which they may or may not have time for if you send an extra take that you weren't asked for in a self-tape scenario.
Yeah, funny you should mention Zoom, because that's another kind of callback. So a lot of times, even if it's a self-tape audition, the next level will be a Zoom callback. Zoom, obviously, the benefit being it's in real time. You can show that you take direction. You can actually meet people in a way that like self-tape you really can't. Yeah. So you can start to build some name recognition and some rapport. And then you may even get called back to be in the room.
Yeah. And one thing to kind of prepare for a Zoom callback is that there may often be a number of extra people in that on the other side of the screen that may never show their faces on video.
Yeah.
So it will be you and the casting director, and they will be reading with you, and you may see 3 or 4 more boxes on Zoom with people's names, or it might just have a logo from the company that's producing it, and you won't necessarily know who's behind that box. Don't let that throw you. That's normal. Focus on the casting director, focus on making that connection, focus on that, witty banter with them, either before or after. And it's your audience. Your audience has just gotten a little bigger for that Zoom callback. Yeah,
and that can happen in person too. Like in an in-person callback, there might be the ad executives might be there, or people from the company might be there, the client might be there. So yeah, that's just an extension of the same thing, especially on the commercial side. You might see a lot of that in the room. Especially on the theater side, you're going to see like now suddenly the resident director is there and the associate choreographer is there, and there's all these just like additional bodies, but it doesn't change the work. The work should still stay the same. So just keep that in mind. But since we're on the topic, do we want to talk about producer callbacks and director sessions?
Yeah, and hopefully this will all be communicated to you when you're moving through these processes. So you'll know if you're having a callback with casting and who's going to be in the room, or if it is actually a producer session. And now you're doing the same material, but, the showrunner is going to be in there. Or like you said, the choreographer, the producers behind the show, or on the commercial side, not just someone from the agency, but maybe the client. And again, that's another term. The client in the commercial world is the advertiser. The product.
Yeah.
Whoever is representing the company that's paying for that ad. I think the best way of looking at all of these things is, congratulations, your audience is getting bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So you as an actor, you know, you may have started this process as a self-tape. You're performing to your room by yourself with your friend who's reading with you over Zoom.
The stuffed animal for a sight line.
Exactly, or a post-it note. And now you have 15 people in the room watching that performance, maybe watching another additional scene. This is what you want. You want to keep growing your audience so that someday you're going to have all of America watching this episode of your latest TV show.
Yeah. And I think two things, well, something to take note of is in that session, let's say it's a producer session, let's say that there are 4 additional people there. Yeah. They may give you feedback. They may interact with you. They may give notes. They may not speak at all.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to set the tone, follow their lead, be cordial, be collegial. You know, if they want to have a conversation, have conversations, show off your personality. But sometimes they, you know, don't want to be involved. Yeah. And that's okay too. That's, you know, that's something to take note. Just read the room. Exactly.
Expect everything and don't necessarily draw meaning from anything.
Right.
My dad is not in the entertainment industry at all. And when I started managing, he was asking me questions about sort of how this works. And he pointed out to me very astutely that every single audition, unless you're auditioning for the exact same show, for the exact same group of people, so same casting director, same writer,
director,
every audition is a one of one. It is unique. So you can't compare or draw rules across from one audition to another. You may have a great chat, banter with a showrunner in a producer session in one audition and absolutely think that you've won the room and booked the role, and it doesn't come through for you. And the one you book is going to be the one where nobody said anything to you and you were just talking to the casting director. So don't draw patterns from these things. Like you said, go in, be professional, be cordial. The casting director is your friend in these producer director sessions. They are your advocate. They have put themselves out there to bring you and a select few number of actors in, and they are truly advocating. They want you to get hired because then their job is done.
Yeah, I think that's really important to, I think we'll state it again. If they put you in front of the people paying them, that's a win. That is a huge, huge win. Because that is their job, is to present good options. And so if you are one of those options, that means that they believe that you are representative of their work, of their taste. So congratulations. Now,
and make them look good. But also know that they are on your side, right? So they have prepped their bosses about you. They've told them how awesome your tape is. They may have seen the original tape, etc. So yeah, truly your advocates.
And assuming things go well in the callback, or sometimes even from the first call, you may get, so there are a lot of sort of different names that are kind of basically the same thing. It may be called a pin.
Yep.
It may be called a hold. It may be called an avail. That's a little different. And it may be called, if it's really old school, a watch and advise. Yes. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about pins, holds, and avail checks.
Lovely things, lovely terms. So let's talk about theatrically first. And so we mean film, television, not theater, but film and television. Some of this applies to theater too. We're going to talk about commercials separately in a second. Theatrically, again, you could get a pin, you could have an avail check, and like you said, a watch and advise. All of these are typically the same thing. It means that you're in the mix. That's another one.
Oh, in the mix?
In the mix.
Yeah. So that just means that you haven't been cut yet.
Yeah.
I mean, in the mix can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah, but it can be part of those things too. So any of these terms mean that your tape was well received by casting and they are likely doing something with it now.
Sending it to producers
Exactly. Sending it for someone else to take a look at. And so they want to know if you are truly going to be available to book that job. My casting friends will probably hate that I say this. In the theatrical world, it is not as strict as the commercial world when you accept an avail. If your agent comes and says, hey, we have an avail check for you, we have a pin for you, are you in town for these dates? And you say yes, those dates could be a month out.
Yeah.
So what is really going on there is we, as your reps, are agreeing that as of today, when we say, yes, you're available, you are available today. And if anything changes between today and whatever future date that they may come back to us, we are agreeing to update them.
Yeah.
Again, this is theatrically.
I also, there's a little bit of a nuance called a tech avail.
Yes.
Which is where you are available at that moment, but there's something likely to happen. Like maybe, for instance, you are pinned for something else. Or like there is some other activity that we don't necessarily need to tell them about, but we do need to say like it is tech avail, or technically he's available, but there are moving pieces.
Yeah, there might be something else going on. In the commercial world, if you accept an avail, that commercial casting director is going to expect that you are available to work that job when and if they come back to you to book you. So these time frames are much shorter on the commercial side usually. So these things move a bit faster, although TV can move pretty fast. Because they have to go to that producer director of the commercial and the client and get approval from the client, they want to make sure that they're getting approvals from the client on people who are truly available to shoot that commercial. They do not want to have to go back to the client and say, actually, that guy you really loved for your Budweiser commercial is now not available. That is not, like I said, not so strict in the theatrical world.
Yeah.
As long as your reps are effectively communicating that there's these moving pieces. So you always want to be completely 100% upfront with your reps about your true availability so that you don't run into a scenario where you've said you're available, right, especially in the commercial world, and then all of a sudden you're not going to be there to work.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, there is something called a check avail that's a little bit different than an avail. So a check avail is essentially before there's been a session, or maybe there won't even be, or they won't even read actors for a role. They'll just check to make sure that you're available. And the reason that they do that is primarily because they're going to take a list to the producers or to the director or to whomever, to the studio, the network, whoever, and they want to make sure that before they pitch those names, that those people are actually available for the project. They don't want to pitch, Brad Pitt and then find out, well, Brad Pitt's, in Ibiza for the next 6 months shooting this other movie. Like, so that is really just, it's more of a procedural thing. And I think I get a lot of instances where there's an avail check and then people will be like, well, so am I still in the mix on this? It's like, you were never really in the mix because there was no like formal audition or anything. It was just, so a lot of times those dates, just take it with a grain of salt.
Right. And that's why in the theatrical world, these things aren't quite as strict, right? Because you can get avail checks on a number of projects and they may or may not even turn into an audition.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those are kind of for the offer only level actors too, right?
Yeah.
That once you get to that place, another term here, offer only, which means that you do not audition anymore. You're just going to be on these lists and people are going to be checking your avails with your reps and then pitching you, and then hopefully an offer will come in.
Thanks so much for watching.